From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, sure feels like we've got a quarterback competition going on. Is that the right move? How to go about it moving forward? And the depth chart. A little bit of a shakeup. How are we feeling about that? Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WarchantBogo. Warchant B-O-G-O. Buy one, get one free. Or you can find delicious, dare I say nutritious, Vitamin Energy at retail stores all across this great country of ours, including even the Sunstop in College Town. 10,000 different retail locations. But the problem is, everybody, you're going to buy one and you're going to love it, but you're not going to get one for free. So go to the website. Go to vitaminenergy.com. Put the promo code WarchantBogo in there. You'll buy a box. You'll get 12. You get 12 free. You'll buy 24. You'll get 24 more for free. You'll have 48 for the price of 24. Which is what some economists like to frame it to let you know the true value of what you're getting.
$156 for the price of $78.
What a show off! What a show off! Atlanta always taking it to Clearwater.
Yeah, that's how we do it, man. That's how we do it.
Hopefully, everybody out there in Pinellas County has power by now. I think my dad's supposed to get it later today at the latest. Man, my dad hasn't had power since like Wednesday night. Man. Feel your folks' pain. But I should have sent him Vitamin Energy. I'd been like, Dad, I can't give you power, but I can give you energy. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WarchantBogo. No sugar crash. 260 milligrams, all natural caffeine, vitamins and nutrients to improve so many different aspects of our mental functioning. So do it, everybody. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. It's still only $1, everybody. FSU $1, 2 months. Come on home. This will take us into the early signing period. So if you join now, you'll get to enjoy all the late pulls like Quasi 2002, like Bobby Bowden, just pulling them in late, reeling them in, if you will, reeling them in. We reeled in a big one here today, everybody. It's Corey Clark, per usual. How are you, Corey?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for asking. In fact, speaking of Vitamin Energy, Brady and I both did the workout win on Sunday. Before our workout, and you feel a real difference. Brady even said so. That you feel a little jolt. So yeah, that was great. We did some, I'm not gonna brag. We did bench press. We bench pressed like a couple of dudes just out there lifting.
All right.
And grunting.
All right.
It was fun to see.
Can he get 95 up?
He can do. So he did 135 like 10 times.
Hell yeah. Brady Clark.
I haven't seen him max out, and I didn't want to be there for that, but he said in his weight class that he maxed out at 190. Either 190 or 195, something like that. So, yeah, he's getting there, man. It's in the genes, Aslan. Right. It's in the genes.
Clearly.
And it's cool when I do it with him because I did 130. And now, look, understand, this was on a Smith machine, so it's a little easier.
Okay.
But I did 135. Like he's like, I could probably get this up 6 times. I'm like, come on, man, watch this. And I did it like 15 times.
Nice.
And I'm like, if I can do it 15 times, certainly, 16-year-old, you're as strong as this almost 50-year-old to get close. And then I think that's what gave him the motivation, along with Vitamin Energy, to get him up to 10 or 11 or whatever it was.
All right, let's use some of that positive energy here as we go into our show here on Tuesday for you folks. We've been getting comments on the show over on the message boards a lot lately, which is cool. I I used to just post it at midnight before I would go to bed. Now I post it at like 7 in the morning when I wake up. One of our guys, Randy's Candy, says, Aslan, I'm going to need these at about 6 a.m., please. Can't do that for you, Randy. But you can, if you subscribe, though, it'll be there.
It's there right there at 12:01.
Yeah, so that's how it works. But our guy Townie says constantly dragging the coaches is depressing, but it evidently serves some purpose for some portion of the crowd. And, all right, I hear that. We'll try to make this a little bit more of an uplifting program. We won't focus.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Because it is something that's always been kind of important to me ever since I started doing this essentially daily. It became part of my actual job, is that I don't want to think, I very, very rarely, if ever, say stuff I don't mean and I don't try to pander to you guys at all. Like, I don't want to just say stuff because that's what the fan base wants to hear. When you hear me talk and get riled up, whether it's right or wrong, and it's probably wrong half the time too, and I'm an idiot half the time, but when I'm doing it in that moment, it's genuine. It's what I genuinely believe. I never do it. I'm never like playing radio or playing podcasts just to be provocative, if that makes sense. I just want to clear the air, and I don't even think that was really a complaint necessarily. I just want to clear the air, and I want people to know, especially him to know. Yeah, Aslan, was it a her? What was the name? I forgot.
Just Townie with 2 N's.
Okay.
And a
so
Y.
I don't know why. I'm going to assume Townie is a dude.
Okay.
But yeah, I just want people to know that it's not like I'm fostering up this ire and frustration. Yeah, but it's not real or anything. It is genuine. I just want that to be. Whether you agree with it or not, I'm not just trying to drive. I don't know that it helps listenership to keep complaining about it. But I do want you guys to know when I read that Florida State is last in the country in rushing, or this place in this statistic or that statistic, or just look at their win-loss column and know how much money is being paid to this coaching staff to produce one win. It does genuinely frustrate me.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It probably wasn't it probably wasn't something I had to clarify necessarily, but I don't want people to think that that either one of us just come up with emotions that we don't really feel, or just to be provocative and have something to talk about, to feign anything. Like I really do try to be genuine in everything I say.
Yeah. Not sure if this might fall on deaf ears because somebody tweeted at us last week. Just can't listen anymore. It's all doom and gloom about the Noles. Yes, we're having a bad year, but geez, isn't there anything you can say that's positive?
No. What would it be?
Alex Mastermano and Ryan
year.
Fitzgerald, baby. Woo!
We could talk about last year. That was positive. And, yeah, we could talk about what they do in the NFL. We could talk about the soccer team. They finally got a win after a rare losing streak.
Yeah, what's going on over there, Krikorian? Or not Krikorian, my guy Penske. Sorry.
How dare you? National championship.
Brian's a
Brian
friend of the program. I'm so sorry, Brian. So sorry, Coach Penske.
That just tells you what Krikorian's shadow is like over there. It still looms, even after he just had arguably the best college soccer team of all time last year. I think it was they had so many players overseas. I think it was overseas competing in the U20 World Cup.
Okay.
And then they came back and they had to get back adjusted to their roles and figuring out their roles. And, they had two losses in a row. But, got a dub on, I think, Saturday at Boston College, so that was good. Nice. But, yeah, it's like – yeah, it's probably the same note being hit over and over. Yeah, they're bad, Corey. We get it. But when this is a football show, especially in the fall, and this is a football team everyone cares about, there's not a lot. There really isn't a lot of positive to talk about. It's not like they're losing games 40-36. Like at least Auburn's podcast can talk about their defense. Their defense is pretty good. Offense just turns it over too much, and their coach is a weirdo. But they have a good defense. Florida State has a good nothing right now, so it's cause for consternation. But I promise you, if they beat Duke on Friday night, it is going to be a sunny show on Monday morning. That's all I'm saying. I want them to test that theory.
Okay.
Test that theory out, Noles. Get us a dub, and let's see how uplifting Wake Up Warchant is the next day we get back on there.
Have we seen a line come out yet for that game?
Of course, Aslan. Of course. It's 2024. What, do you think they're waiting until Thursday night?
I looked up on Sunday before we recorded the show, and there was nothing out there. Right now I see 3.5 at some books, 3 at most. Duke favored.
I saw it at 3 that Duke was favored. Oh, there's some positive for you, by the way. Oh, there's another. I was looking at my phone to check the box score, to check the point spread, and I got a phone call, and it said political call.
Yeah.
Have you gotten one of those before?
Yeah. Yesterday was the first one. I'm like, what's this? Actually, it says spam. It's like political call. Like it's a higher level of spam, I guess.
Yeah, apparently. Which is awesome. But like, it could have just said spam. That would have been perfectly fine. But maybe they think if it's a political call, you might want to answer it.
Right.
So if you guys can hold on real quick, I want to see what this person on the other end has to say. But yeah, that's crazy that it says political call now. Good job there. Well, not really. They're listening to all of us. They know exactly what we're all doing at all times.
We're two of the last independent voters out there, though. We're ready to be swayed.
Yeah, I need to be swayed. Yeah. Please, these next 3 weeks, sway us as much as possible. So when it comes to this game on Friday, though, Aslan, I think there is some positive there's a positive outlook in the sense that I don't think Duke is nearly as good as the record.
Oh, no, yeah.
If you look at who they've beaten, they beat Elon, who is 1-5.
Correct.
And it's Elon. They beat Northwestern barely.
Double OT.
They beat North Carolina by a point, so barely.
UConn,
Lost to Georgia Tech. Beat
Middle
UConn
Tennessee,
barely.
Yeah.
Their only blowout win, the only time they've scored over 26 points, maybe,
Correct.
was against Middle Tennessee State, who has one of the worst defenses in the United States. So it does bode well. They're a bad rushing team. It does bode well that you should be able to stay in the game. And maybe, your offense can find something with Brock Glenn. But it's not. You're not facing a juggernaut, even though it's 5-1 and 1-5. Dare I say, Aslan, that if Florida State had started this season with the same schedule as Duke, Florida State would be 5-1. At worst, 4-2.
Within reason. Yeah, stands within reason.
They're beating UConn, I think. I would hope.
UConn's they're warming up, man. They're getting a little bit better towards as.
Oh yeah, they got some. I mean, when you start with Elon, Northwestern, UConn, Middle Tennessee State, North Carolina, and Georgia Tech, you better hope there's some stuff on the back half of the schedule. But yeah, I think obviously we could say Florida State would have lost to Georgia Tech too, because we saw it.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was in Ireland. I don't know if you guys remember how the season began, but it was in Dublin. But yeah, I think if you look at that schedule, I think Florida State would be at worst 4-2. Maybe they don't win at Northwestern. Okay.
Right.
All right. Sure. But I think they win all the other games. And I think if Duke had played Florida State's schedule, I think it's fair to wonder what would they have? 1 win, 2 wins, 0 wins? No. So anyway, the point being, it is an absolutely winnable game on Friday night. It's actually kind of a favorable matchup. Their quarterback does not run at all. He's actually played pretty well. I think he's averaging like 240 yards passing a game. He's only completed 60%, but they hit some big plays. They got a running back that's going to run for 1,000 or is on pace, but again, they don't run the ball well. They're like 115th in the country. Now, granted, that's 70 yards more per game than your Noles, but still, they're in the bottom third of the country in running, and their quarterback does not run at all. Aslan, he has gained minus 54 yards. His longest run of the season is 2 yards.
Why are you jinxing it, Corey?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know he's going to go 11 for 140 on Friday night. I get it. That's what's going to happen. But the point being, Florida State has obviously struggled with guys that are very mobile, that can use their legs and run. It would not appear this guy is that. It would appear he's more like Mendoza. And that boded pretty well for this defense. So hopefully it will happen again.
Adam Fuller gave him the Jimbo Fisher, B.J. Daniels scouting comp. Just like
he throws the ball great distances.
Yeah, just like really strong arm quarterback.
Yeah.
Ellipses. Yeah, real strong arm quarterback. It's like, okay, like feels like he probably enjoys that matchup, if you will. Thoughts from practice on Monday, Corey? What if I told you if you showed up to practice on Monday and watched Florida State practice, you wouldn't really know who the starting quarterback was? How would you interpret that?
I would say I would interpret that as them making sure that both guys are ready to play.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing when you show up somewhere and you don't know who the guy is?
Good thing. Brock Glenn is not your starting quarterback. Your starting quarterback is hurt. These two guys are vying for the starting quarterback for next year, and Brock Glenn has not done enough. I am all about this life, man. I would play Luke on Friday. I would play Luke in every game the rest of the season. I would play, and I would let him get a lot of reps in practice because you absolutely have to know, man. You have to know. This game, in the grand scheme of things, this game you want to win. You don't want to go 1-11. But this season is already over as far as expectations and bowls and championships and all that. So you've got to know if your quarterback is on the roster. So don't break it down to where Brock Glenn's getting 90% of the snaps or 80% of the snaps and Luke Kromenhoek's not getting any looks. Get him in there too. See what you got out of in this kid. See if he's a possibility to play next year. I'm all about it, Aslan.
Are we there if they're 3-3 right now? We should probably be, but I don't think we would. It's interesting to me that we have gotten to this point. And I'm
probably not because you would think, okay, you can still get to 7 or you can still get to 8 wins. Maybe 9 if you win your bowl game. Like it could still be a top 25, top 20-ish season. if you're 3-3. Odds are against it with the schedule you got coming up, but you still have a chance. So probably not. But 1-5 is a whole different ballgame.
All right, let me vomit a whole bunch of practice observations from you. Period 3, nothing really doing for either Brock or a Luke-led offense. There was one play where I think Darrell Jackson, shout out, fresh legs, batted the ball down at the line of scrimmage off the arm of Brock Glenn. Brock then caught it and then threw it again. And
Okay.
a couple people were like, "Oh, that was awesome!" And then like Rick Stockstill was like,
Was Darrell Jackson? Was he like out there in flip flops? Did he have any sunscreen still like on the neck, on his neck or something, or did he look like he was there to play?
He
football?
smelled very coconutty.
Okay,
like coconut scent, like suntan lotion. I feel like, but like Rick Stockstill was like disgust. He was like shaking his head and he was like motioning for a flag because like you're not allowed to throw 2 forward passes. But later on in that period, man, I've never seen Tony Tokars as angry, frustrated, animated as he was after one of the throws. Should I say which quarterback it was?
No.
Okay.
No.
After one of the decisions of the quarterback, because the quarterback seemingly was looking at one side of the field the entire way, and there was a defensive back, I think, either coming in on pressure or it had to have been. I mean, he was a defensive back. There's no way he just ended up, chasing the ball down and getting into the backfield of the quarterback. But there was some sort of like secondary pressure, and he threw it right at the lunging arms of said defensive back. And I wasn't offended by it, but it seemed a little bit dubious of a decision to me. But that elicited just Tokars going the closest thing to apoplectic I've ever seen him do. And I'm like, golly, Tony, that's out of your sort of brand. But that happened.
Yeah.
Later on in the practice, 11 on 11s, good run. There's a couple good runs actually on Monday court. There's a couple good runs.
Let's go, gang.
Cam Davis.
Oh, we didn't talk about the depth chart.
We're gonna get to that
either, did we?
Yeah,
okay,
we're gonna get to that in a second. There's not a lot of meat on the bone, so we got to spread out what we've got on the bone here, if you will. Open field truck of our guy Shaheem Brown, which kind of hurt me a little bit. I'm like, damn, Shaheem, it's not supposed to be you. It's not supposed to be you happening too. But anyway,
is it a truck when you're not allowed to tackle?
Fair, I guess. Good way to look at it. Good way to look at it.
Like, what's Shaheem? What did he do wrong? Not tackle him because he's not allowed to tackle him. But he got. You're saying Cam shouldered him and bumped him out of the way.
Shoulder down, ran right through him and trucked on another 3 or 4 yards. I had a sack by Marvin Jones Jr. in the same period. I think it was period 10 and 11 on 11. This one ends. This is the last period before the first snack break. And then that last play where they go goal line, the imagination is not there on my goal line singular play, kind of 2-point play. Pass was picked off in the back of the end zone by Fentrell Cypress, known as Trell by some in the game. We go to one-on-ones here.
I call him Finny Wop.
Finny Wop. I like it. Really nice one-handed interception by Kevin Noles in coverage of Ja'Kai Douglas in one-on-ones. It came off the arm of Brock. Good beat. Hakeem beating aforementioned Trell. Finny Wap. Good completions by Luke Cromenhawk to Micaiah Danzy. And B.J. Gibson absolutely cooked Shaheem. Good day for Shaheem. It's okay. That's practice we get out of our system on Monday. We rise on Friday. But B.J. Gibson just put him in the spin cycle. It was quite impressive. A really nice pass breakup downfield on Jaylen Brown by Jabril Rawls, Pride of Pensacola Catholic. Had really nice catches. Also logged by Amari Williams, Ja'Kai on Kentron Kirkland, or KJ Kirkland rather. Sorry. Right. Our guy, Jaylen Brown, bounced back on a nice catch over Charles Lesser, who was in phase and had really good coverage on him. Elijah Moore also getting involved in the catch party, catching one slant with Fentrell all up in his grill. Another catch by Danzy as well. And then we had
This is all one-on-one?
It's one-on-ones, man. One-on-ones.
Well, that's good. They don't usually do well at all in one-on-ones. They usually have 4 catches the whole drill.
Right.
All right. Good.
Also, a sweep by Malik Benson. He had 2 reps against Azaria and got him on both and let him know both times.
Get you some.
I got you.
All right. Okay.
We did have an Edwin Joseph interception as well, too, so defense did rise up. Couple things that you've all wanted to see out there when it comes to the run game, like wrinkles, if you will. They did both of the ones that we've talked about ad nauseum. We don't need to go into particulars in case Manny Diaz is still listening to the program. He told me he would try to be a gentleman and not listen to the show during game week. A lot of coaches reach out, let us know they're big fans of the program, but they'll try to tune out so they don't get competitive advantages. But one of them involved a bad snap, and the other one was like, all right, there's something there. We can cook on that. That's pretty cool.
I thought it was cool that Doran still tells us that he listens, even though they're not playing Florida State this
right?
year.
Yeah, hey, man.
The NC State's not even playing Florida State, but Dave Doran's still an avid listener.
Oh, yeah.
So, Dave, get it together, man. The offense doesn't look good. You've fallen back down to earth. I think they're 3-3 or 2-4. They're having a rough season, too.
Then later on in the indoor, when they go to 11-on-11, man, Luke had more reps than Brock. I know I can't, maybe not allowed to say that out loud, but I just said it out loud. And then on 7-on-7s, they had a nice sort of back and forth. They were just going one rep at a time. It was Luke, and then it was Brock. Yeah. And Luke, I think, hit on his first 3 or first 4 in a row. Meanwhile, Brock missed on his first 2, but then he bounced back and got like 4 out of his last 5 were completed, while Luke, I think, completed here only 2 of his last 4. Okay. So it was a nice back and forth. All that to say, like, there is, as Corey said, apparently a legitimate sort of competition, if you will, at this sort of quote-unquote vacancy.
Don't you think there needs to be, Aslan? Like, I don't think this
No, man. I think you put everything in Brock, at least for like 3 weeks, and then when you get out of the... You got one more bye week. You got one more bye week. What do you mean doesn't deserve it, man? He's stuck with this program. You brought somebody over him that clearly is not clearly better than him at all. He was your sacrificial lamb in that freaking Orange Bowl. He did enough, or he didn't lose you the game against Louisville. I'm not saying he's got a whole bunch of equity, but for what he did against Clemson as well, and you did not use his full allotment of skills, like, give the kid a fair shake, it feels like, before you start, looking over the fence so soon. And listen, nope. I'm not a Brock Glenn truther by any I'm just trying to say, if I was his older brother or his dad, I'd probably be a little bit irked if I was listening to the show and was like, my boy's still not getting, like a clear runway to get his career kicked off,
Yeah, but I mean, that's life, man. That's sports. Mike Norvell's got to think about Mike Norvell, and he's got to think about 2025. And you can't, if you think Kromenhoek, in his heart of hearts, this is the conversation we'll probably be having for the next 6 weeks. If he thinks right now, as we sit here on October 15th, 16 days to Halloween, everyone, get those decorations up. There is in my neighborhood in Atlanta, there is a guy with a dog that is like 9 feet high. It is the craziest looking yard decoration I've ever seen. It is a hound from hell that is 8 or 9 feet high, and we've got it's a normal neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's 6-year-olds out here, man, running these streets, seeing this hound from hell with blood coming out of his fangs. It's just, you people in your Halloween are crazy. But anyway, and he's right next to a Grim Reaper. I should have noticed that. There's a 15-foot high Grim Reaper to go next to the 8-foot high hound from hell.
There's no HOA up in Buford?
Yeah, trust me, there is. Trust me. But apparently hounds from hell are okay. But if you can't see my numbers on my house, it's a $25 fine. All right, I see how it is. But anyway, no, when it comes, Mike Norvell's only thinking about, he has to think about this kid. Both kids, obviously. But if he, right now, as we sit here in the middle of October, if he thinks that Kromenhoek is, by this time next year, is going to be better than Brock Glenn, you've got to, or this time next week, he's going to be better than Brock Glenn. You've got to figure out who the guy is. And Brock Glenn, this is not the case of like, I'm trying to even think of a comparison. I can't really. Like Brock Glenn, yes, he filled in. He's also a Florida State quarterback. Like, he has a pretty good life. He got to play in some big-time games, Aslan. Mike Norvell gave him a stage. He got to play in the Orange Bowl. The last Florida State quarterback to play in the Orange Bowl was who? EJ? Think about Charlie Ward played in the Orange Bowl.
DeAndre Francois.
Oh, yeah, Francois, EJ, Charlie Ward. The list goes on and on, man. Jimmy Jordan.
Rick did play in 2004 season or 2003
No, I was
season.
thinking of Rick Stockstill.
Oh, Rick Stockstill.
From the early 80s. But, yes, Rick's got to play in one.
Respect.
Yeah, Danny Cannell. So that's a nice thing he got to do for him.
Illustrious class.
He lost by 60, but that wasn't Brock Glenn's fault. But no, the point is like, again, I go back to this. Clearly, they didn't think Brock Glenn was great. or it wouldn't have taken a injury to DJ in the third quarter of their fourth loss.
Well, he was going to get the hook regardless, Mike said.
Right after they were down by 28 points in the fourth quarter of their fourth loss. Another embarrassing where the offense couldn't do anything for Brock Glenn. So they obviously didn't think Brock was necessarily the answer. And they might think Luke Kromenhoek is the answer. Now, Brock Glenn, it's not like they just yanked it out from under him and he doesn't get to play. He can go earn it.
Yeah.
He can go earn it. But it has to be a competition. It may the best person win. And, if Brock Glenn starts out Friday night 9 for 9 with a couple of touchdowns and 50 yards rushing, yeah, keep playing, Brock. But understand this isn't Jordan Travis last year when he'd built up enough equity. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a time Jordan Travis struggled. He didn't really last year. But if he had, he had built up enough equity. You're not thinking about making a change with Jordan Travis. Brock Glenn, he hasn't earned the right to just say, no, Luke, this is my job now. They're both backups. And I think you've got to figure out, Kromenhoek's got a big arm. He certainly looks polished enough for a true freshman. That I think they want to see what they got in them, and that's their job. Again, if they're 3-3 or 4-2 right now, I don't think they're doing that. I think they're going with a more experienced guy, who, by the way, looked good against Clemson, I thought, but didn't look incredible. Look, if Brock Glenn had gone, and I know he had some drops, I get it, and there were some impossible situations, but if he'd have led him to 4 touchdown drives and been 30 for 40, then, yeah, man, I think that we wouldn't be having this conversation, but he didn't. The door is open, as it should be. Now, both of them the beauty is both of them will have a chance, I think. I definitely think Kromenhoek will play this season because they want to get him some live reps to see what it looks like, and I think it's fair to see who the better guy is in practice.
CP Classic Appetizers hit the spot. What's your favorite, Corey? Southwest egg rolls, beer cheese, and soft pretzel? Grilled Angus steak bites, loaded taters. Obviously not that. You're not a potato guy. Mozzarella wedges.
Yeah.
Ooh, like mozzarella sticks, but wedges?
Yeah.
Fried pickles, mini corn dogs, or headliner's favorite, Register sausage bites.
Yeah, the Register sausage bites is awesome. Obviously, we would go. That's going to be my first answer, no matter what. They are good too, sausage bites in general, but the Register sausage bites are great. And then the pretzel is really good, really good. Okay. And I don't like that it's good because I don't try to eat that kind of stuff, but it's so good you're going to have. I don't eat the whole pretzel, but I'll rip off a couple of lengths of it and get after it.
There you go. I like it
with beer cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Beer cheese and mustard. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
7 o'clock tonight, trivia. I was thinking about it'd be a cool trivia segment, Corey, if they just flashed, they just showed a company corporation name and you had to sing the jingle.
Oh, well, that would be hard, though. 15 teams.
So everyone's got
table to table.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Yeah.
It'd still be. You hosted one year. You know how it works.
Yeah,
it'd still be cool though. That's not a bad. Or you sing the jingle.
Yeah.
To tell you what company it is.
Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah. All right. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, cptallybar.com, the website 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Back at it. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WarchantBogo. Warchant BOGO. All right, back to the quarterback thing here, Corey. This staff is still trying all get out to win football games. And I know we're talking about there's more important things than winning a couple games when you're 1-5. I don't know if everybody's going to agree with that. I'm sure the guys in the locker room don't want to hear that
Norvell,
sort of stuff.
I don't even think Mike Norvell necessarily agrees on that.
Right,
most of his body, most of his mind doesn't, right? But
right.
Some of it you have to be coaching for the future. You just have to at this point.
Yeah. But how do you do this then? When we heard him kind of mention in the Clemson postgame that there was sort of an idea, a plan, if you will, to get Luke, but that it didn't present itself. The Duke game's going to probably be pretty nip and tuck. I even think the Miami game is going to be pretty nip and tuck. I think the North Carolina, et cetera. I think the only game that might get away from you could possibly be Notre Dame. So how will they find that balance of trying to win games? And then how do you get Luke into a game where you're up 23-17 with 8 minutes left at Duke, or it's 13-13 in the third quarter? I feel like most of these games, absent Notre Dame, they're going to be competitive for the most part. I just really do. I know. Listen, Miami fans listening to this can call me delusional or whatever, but it's a weird rivalry. Crazy things happen. Maybe you'll blow us out. Who knows? But let's put the Miami game off to the side too. Then how can that work? That's kind of what I'm wondering aloud here now. Is that because at what point do you take Brock out of the game unless he just absolutely kind of melts down? If he's hanging in there and getting you first downs and it's a competitive game, what is the door? How do you when is it going to be ajar to get Luke in there at a reasonable manner, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why you get paid all the money to figure that out. It's a fair question. It's a good question because if you're 13-13 in South Bend in the third quarter, obviously Brock Glenn has not played well or great if you've only got 13 points, but he hasn't lost you the game anyway, and you do worry about a kid coming in that's only had a couple of series maybe in the first half to come in and then in a 13-13 game, strip sack, pick six, a horrible interception. Like that stuff happens. Lagway did it against Tennessee on Saturday night. He was in. I thought Mertz had played pretty well, even though they kept screwing up inside the 10-yard line. And then Lagway gets a possession kind of early on in the third quarter, early on in the second half. I think Tennessee had just scored, and he throws a horrible interception in their side of the field, like at the 20-yard line, that gives them points. And then he ends up having to play the rest anyway because Mertz got hurt. But I just think that's what you got to kind of see, right? It's a fair question though. Like I'm not a huge proponent of this. I'm not a huge proponent of one guy getting 2 reps, the other guy getting 1, because of what if Brock Glenn leads 2 touchdowns and all of a sudden he's out of the game and then you can't get that momentum back once you put him back in the game. I get it. I would not go in with a plan. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, I would not go with a plan.
Strategy. There's no strategy. I have no strategy.
I'm throwing stuff against the wall. You guys deal with it. Read the room. No, I would not go with a plan. I should have finished that sentence to tell Luke you're going to get the ball in the third series.
Right.
Because again, what if Brock Glenn
has
has 2 touchdown
14-0.
drives? Yeah, that would be dumb. That's not how sports is supposed to work.
So
if Brock Glenn plays well, don't pull him. But I would tell both of them, and it's probably not fair. You don't want to do this with a quarterback, but these are extenuating circumstances. If there's a struggle, there's a couple of punts, or more importantly, if there are a couple of really bad reads and decisions, you're like, look, man, I'm making a change. We're going to go to Luke for a little while, but stay in the game because we're probably going to need you. You're not being benched for the rest of the game. Cheer on your teammates. Let's see what this looks like. But I want to get Luke some action. I would not do it if you're up by 2 scores. I mean, Florida State hasn't scored back-to-back touchdowns all season. So that would be perfect. That's the only time they do it, is then immediately for Brock Glenn to be pulled afterwards. So I think I just would go by the feel of the game and when it would seem right to get him in the game.
I guess there's got to be a large part of Mike Norvell that can probably have it both ways here, where he could be listening to this as he's driving in and be like, hey, dummies, I can coach to win games by having Luke ready. Because if Brock's not going to give us a chance to win a game, if he's struggling, if he's throwing interceptions, I can't just be like, I'm going to ride out 60 minutes with this guy. I have to have Luke prepared during practice this week to put him in there to maybe stop the bleeding, and then we can get our feet back under us and try to get the best of Duke. So
it's just hard, man, because, look, I know it's Duke, and Florida State's never lost to Duke, but they're underdogs this week. Duke is 5-1. They do have a good defense. I didn't mention that. Their offense isn't very good. Their defense is, again, I listed those teams they played. None of them are great offensively, but they're not, they haven't allowed more than, I think 24 is the most they've allowed, or maybe 26. I can't remember, but they have not allowed
the loss.
Yeah, so that's it. Like, they don't give up points. So, of course, all this angst about the quarterbacks have to go. You have to basically have an open competition or go to your backup for Clemson, Duke, and then, hey, everyone, Miami the next week at Miami. Great. It's like Memphis was perfect, Mike. Memphis and Cal was the perfect 2-game sequence to figure out who your quarterback was going to be. So, but look, my point was there. I was going to start the point by saying, look, if Brock Glenn's put up 10 points late in the third quarter, it hasn't looked horrible, but they've only got 10 points at the end of the third quarter against Duke on Friday night. Well, then, Yeah, man.
But what if it's 13-10 though? Like I get
I
if
don't
it's
care.
24-10.
I don't. I honestly don't care. Me personally, I don't care. I know Norvell does, but the offense has to be better. It has to make plays. And if you've given Brock Glenn 3 quarters and nothing has happened, again, he has not earned the leeway to let him work himself out of it or go find a way to make a play.
Well, what did DJ do to be able to make his way out of the BC first half and the Memphis first half?
It's a fair question, man. It's a fair question. Nothing here at all. Like he had played a lot of football and been a part of a lot of winning games, but nothing at Florida State had he earned to come back out at halftime of the Memphis game and continue to be the starting quarterback. He had done nothing, had earned nothing. I think when we write the I was going to say epilogue, the obituary on this 2024 season, that should be in the first paragraph is that
on a sunny noon game in Tallahassee, Florida.
At 1:45 on Saturday, whatever that was, September 15th, DJ came right back out and led the team again.
Yeah, Florida State had 67 yards of offense in the first half.
Against Memphis. Yeah. So, again, I'm getting mad again. I'm
no,
trying not to
we're
do
good.
that.
We're positive. Duke going
yeah,
down.
so the fact that he came back out and played the third quarter of that game and, of course, immediately hit a 70-yard pass, a perfect throw or almost perfect throw to Benson for a huge gain, and then they scored, 2 plays later. That didn't help pull the plug, but the plug should have been pulled then. It should have been pulled at halftime of BC, honestly, or at least at the end of the BC game. That should have been a wrap. But, no, but, you didn't. So now these guys don't get any runway against kind of okay teams and decent defenses, but nothing special. They get Clemson, Duke, and Miami back to back to back. Which again, at Duke and at Miami, that's a tough stretch. Duke's 5-1, Miami's 6-0. Next two opponents are 11-1. You're on the road for both of them. And you've got to figure out which one of these guys is going to be your quarterback. I hope it's Brock, man. I hope Brock plays well. I shouldn't say that. I got nothing against Luke. But I hope Brock plays well. But I also know Norvell's got to watch it a little more carefully than normal because I think you do have to try to get this kid some real game experience and some real game reps. Yeah. Now, maybe you say maybe the plan is, you play him, you give him many more snaps against North Carolina and Charleston Southern at home.
Start Luke. Make Luke your opener.
Oh, there you go.
Right? Because if Luke gets a touchdown, then all right, Brock, obviously we're going to keep rolling with him. And if he doesn't, all right, no pressure. It's all right. We got a whole bunch of football ahead of us. Brock, you're back in, It's
tough, man. I don't feel like this is a situation that's happened a lot at Florida State where you're
in October and you're punting.
Not only
for
that,
the next
but
season, pretty much.
you're not just the punting on the season, but not knowing who the future quarterback is going to be.
Right.
And needing to find out. Like, last year at this time would have been nice if they got some big leads, but we didn't. I wasn't convinced that Rodemaker was going to be the guy in 24. But you'd at least seen him a little bit in some trying moments. And yeah, you also thought they would go maybe Kromenhoek or Brock Glenn or somebody else would be the guy. But it's like I'm just trying to think of other teams that have done this, where it's basically like you've got 2 freshmen. That's the other thing. You've got 2 freshmen. I know one's been here a year longer, but you've got 2 freshmen. So they're the same eligibility, meaning it's not even like you can stagger them. One is going to leave. Whoever doesn't win the job is almost certainly going to leave. I'm not trying to impugn anybody's integrity or character or predict things, but I've watched this sport, man. Every team has somebody that transferred in, almost every one of them. These guys transfer every year. The guys that lose the quarterback jobs transfer. So if Kromenhoek plays, if he gets some playing time and plays well over the last month, and he looks like the clear-cut guy, Brock Glenn's gone. And with good reason. Go play college football. It sucks to sit on the bench when you can go play at 50 other schools or whatever the case may be with him, and vice versa too. So but they're both talented, and I think they both might have some things to them. But I just think reading between the lines, don't know anything that's been said to me anyway. But the way they didn't play Brock at all until it was the cart was too far gone or the train was too far off the tracks that they had no choice, and plus DJ got hurt. They didn't play him at all. It didn't even seem to be a thought. And then as soon as Norvell started talking about Brock, he always mentioned Luke. Leads me to think, and the fact that Luke is getting real reps, And also that the head coach admitted that he was going to try to get him in the game against Clemson. Leads me to think that Kromenhoek is the guy maybe they want to play. But the beauty of sports is that doesn't mean he is the guy that is going to earn the job and play. Brock Glenn can go wrestle it away from everyone. He just can. That's the beauty of sports. You go earn it. I remember some Twitter conversation I had. This was, good Lord, 10 years ago now. I'm going to keep it in the Travis family. But Devon Travis was having a real good minor league season. And I was like, man, he's in Double A. He's killing it. Why aren't they calling him up? And some know-it-all on Twitter was like, yeah, because their top-rated prospect or their fifth-rated prospect, and he was with the Tigers at the time, I think. Their fifth-rated prospect is also a second baseman, and he's 6'4", 210 or whatever he was. He's got all these tools. And I'm like, yeah, but that kid's hitting 230. Devon Travis is hitting 330. So at some point you go earn the ability to go play, and then Devon Travis would have had a really good career in the bigs, but he got hurt. He couldn't stay healthy. But he was like a 14th round pick, Devon Travis. And he was the opening day leadoff hitter for the Blue Jays like 3 years later. That's earning it. You go earn it. Even if people the franchise didn't want him to be the second baseman. He wasn't a big-time prospect, but he made them have to play him. Brock Glenn can go do that, even if maybe, and again, this is just me pontificating because I haven't talked to Norvell about it, and if I had, I wouldn't share it with you guys anyway. But he, I don't have any inside information there, but the way he has talked and the way he did not act through those first 4.5 games leads me to believe that he's not convinced Brock is going to be the guy. And that might be a huge miscalculation that he gets to figure out in real time over the next 6 weeks.
Shopmando.com. Use the promo code WARCHANT and get 40% off a starter pack. What's a starter pack, Aslan? It's got everything you need from Mando. It's got solid stick deodorant, which is just like, just a stick of deodorant. The Mount Fuji scent. Masculine, yet bright and light. I like it. Also comes with a cream tube deodorant. So you figure out where you can put that on your body, everybody. It's an all-body deodorant. Nothing's off limits, kids. Also, 15-count deodorant wipes. I popped one of those out. It was also the Mount Fuji scent. Like it a lot. Very, very strong. Like, I've used body wipes before, like traveling like to Dublin when I had my layover in Amsterdam for 18 hours. I'm like, not going to be able to take a shower. Don't want to be in a funk. Let me use some body wipes. But they quickly run off of you, and they lose their no lasting power. Not the case with Mando. And also comes with free shipping. So look at that. There's your starter pack, everybody. Go to shopmando.com. No aluminum, no baking soda. Your shirt's not going to get ruined. No benzene, no parabens, no SLS. Don't even know what that is, but it's probably not good. No blue or green dyes either. Shopmando.com, promo code WARCHANT. 40% off your starter pack. Hey, football fans, when you arrive in Tallahassee for the November 2nd game against North Carolina, plan for a pit stop as the Whataburger Touchdown Tour comes to Florida State University. Power up your game day menu and stop by the Whataburger food truck during your tailgate. Get ready to watch the Noles by securing an easy win before kickoff with a hot, fresh Whataburger. That's cool, but they're going to win on the field too, Whataburger. We don't need your pity, but we'll take your hot, fresh hamburgers. And no matter who comes out on top, again, it's going to be the Noles Whataburger. When you take your squad to Whataburger, you know you're going to feel like a winner because you're going to get your food made your way, fresh and hot every time, every hour, every day of the week. So see you at the game before Florida State and Carolina, and see you at Whataburger. Food truck location information coming soon. On the way out, Corey, the depth chart. It's just a piece of paper. Head coach laughs at it, scoffs at it, but some tangible differences for Duke Week, which I don't know. I guess I'll ask you where your eyes went. My eyes went to the offensive line, and it was a real thing. We saw moments throughout Monday's practice where indeed Jalen Early was flexed inside at one of your guard positions, and it was the right guard spot. So the depth chart's got Darius at left tackle, Andre Otto at left guard, Maurice starting at center, Jalen Early at right guard, Jeremiah Byers at right tackle. Don't know if that's going to solve everything, but it doesn't feel like a desperation move. I mean, Norvell did say after practice they've played Early at guard. I don't know if I could count on two hands the amount of times I've seen him play anything interior, but I don't know. I appreciate it. I know a lot of people get mad. They comment on the videos. I'm sick of hearing him talk. I'm sick of the same nonsense, blah, blah, blah. they're shaking some stuff up and offensive line somewhere where they have to start. I've mentioned moving Darius on the inside to keep Byers and Early on the field at tackle. This is kind of a spin-off off of it, I guess. I'll try to take credit that I don't deserve, but that's where my eye went, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it helps out. Again, there's some better run lanes, some better run cohesion, if you will, on Monday, and maybe it was because of Jalen Early's presence on the interior. Yeah,
maybe. Certainly doesn't help to try to shift some things around. And yeah, look, it's the same thing with the quarterback. You've got to find, in my opinion, but this is different because Brock Glenn performed at a level against Clemson that you would say the offensive line hasn't all year, right? Like Brock Glenn was decent against Clemson, right?
Yeah.
I thought. And his interception, as it turned out, wasn't really his fault. So, I thought he was decent, above average. That quarterback play, man. Clemson's a really good team. And he had him at least, if Mekhi Danzey can make that catch, again, Brock Glenn's arm was hit as he threw it. It's the right decision to be making. Of course, his arm got hit, but it was still a very catchable ball. You're only down 13 at that time. You're in their side of the field. Maybe some crazy things happen. You make it a one-score game. But Brock Glenn was decent. The offensive line, you could not use that term at all the whole season. Not one game. Yeah. So, but the point being, you've got to figure out what you've got in some of these guys moving forward. Like, again, and I don't know if Alex Atkins is going to be here to be coaching them, but you've got to find out, and he might be, not advocating it, got to keep qualifying it. You've got these guys, you've recruited them, you've developed them, you evaluate them when they're in high school, figure out what you have. Evaluate them now. Like, quit using, in some cases, it's like, man, I don't need to see any more of these guys, the older guys. See what you got in the younger guys, because to the point of the season and trying out the quarterbacks, when the season's lost already, it kind of gives you some freedom to try some things. If they could have gotten bigger leads last year, they were in so many tight games that they never really got a chance to play the young guys as much as they'd like. Well, now's your chance. You know what I mean? Yes, you want to win every game. Yes, you'll probably be in some close games. But win or lose, the season's already been a crushing disappointment and failure. So build for 2025, and I think with these two guys that they're playing, younger guys, what's Otto? Is Otto a freshman?
Redshirt freshman, yeah.
And Early's a sophomore?
Redshirt sophomore, yeah. Third year,
it's not young, but young enough that it would be nice because the other three guys that are starting are all gone. And you're going to have holes on an offensive line that wasn't good anyway. So at least see if you got two dudes that you can count on heading into next year. See what they got. Give them put on some game film. But, get better. Show us how much better you get from week to week. It is really hard to play college football. The games and practices, and Florida State practices hard, but games are so much different. And then, of course, Otto is playing against the Florida State defensive line on a Tuesday. Again, they're not going soft, but it is a whole different world than Clemson on a Saturday night. So you've got to get real live game reps. That is what matters more than anything. We've all seen it throughout sports and throughout this football team in particular. So gain some valuable reps, see what you got, and you might have two guys that you can really count on to play next year. And that wipes away 2 question marks going into next season. You're going to have a bunch, obviously. But maybe if these 2 guys, Otto and Early, can give you some good work at the guards, you feel like, okay, well, at least we could be kind of decent in the middle, and we got to figure out what we're going to do at tackle. What about the defense? What did anything stand out on defense to you on the depth chart?
Omar Graham or Justin Cryer? Graham ain't going away, man. And Adam Fuller was asked, what made Omar look a little bit better last Saturday against Clemson. He was healthy. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, there's nobody's got a better health chart on what his guys are looking like than Adam Fuller on Omar Graham. But really, it was offensively, I thought the other part too, Corey, where Hakeem is in bold by himself. There's no or by the person underneath him on the chart. Meanwhile, the other wide receiver spot is Malik Benson or Jalen Brown or LaWayne McCoy. And then your tight end is still Kyle Morlock or Brian Courtney or Landon Thomas. And listen, Amari Williams is part of the plan there, obviously. And I asked Norvell I thought Morlock had a really good bye week of practice. And I'm not advocating for him to start everybody, but he also had a good Monday as well. And I asked Mike, is Kyle still part of your plans? You still need him to help you out? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Kyle's a really good football player. Obviously, he said the D word out loud. He's had drops. But that
D word. I thought
yeah.
I
But
was like, don't talk about your players like that, Mike.
That one's maybe, I don't know, maybe less interesting, but to see Malik or Jalen Brown or LaWayne McCoy, meanwhile, Hakeem has like a spot locked down. I like the fact that Hakeem's got a spot locked down, but kind of curious to see Malik, Jalen, and LaWayne kind of muddied up in a three-way battle for one of the spots. But again, I guess maybe no one's really earned it outright at this point.
I just want to see LaWayne on the field. None of that other stuff you just said. Well, I shouldn't say that. That was going to be very rude.
Very rude.
That was going to be rude. I didn't mean it like that. What hit my ear, what needs to hit the field, is LaWayne McCoy. Again, you've got 6 games left this season. Start building now. If that kid ends up 2024 with, 13 catches for 209 yards and a score, well, that's something to build on. Like, you start stacking up real experience, and he just needs to be out here. Benson, as we all know, right? He's a senior. I guess he doesn't have any more eligibility left. I guess, although
Corey's tried, he's tried like hell. Everybody,
I've tried as much as I can. Although Cam Rising apparently is out for the rest of the year at Utah's quarterback.
8th year, run it back.
But he has a chance at an 8th year.
Let's run it back
because none of this matters anymore. We're all in the simulation. Like, it's all nonsensical. He could be a 35-year-old quarterback at Utah. You go take a mission, Cam. Come back in 2027. But yeah, I want to see LaWayne McCoy. The depth chart, I don't really care that much about tight end because Morlock's going to play some, but we all know that Landon Thomas is the guy. They saw it. He's going to be the guy that plays a lot. I think they're going to sprinkle in the other guys to play a little, but I think Landon Thomas is the guy they're going to use mostly in the passing game. I don't think they're probably all that confident with him as a blocker yet, so he'll probably be out wide more than he's in tight. But maybe that's Morlock's role, and maybe Morlock can become a average to decent blocker to offset what he's maybe not giving you in the passing game, and then Thomas is your weapon in the passing game. But yeah, I think both those guys will play. I want to see Landon Thomas, and I think you will. Obviously, he played a lot against Clemson. He's not going to probably have his role diminished against Duke. But then you want to see LaWayne McCoy. No. Just LaWayne McCoy and Mekhi Dancy. Like, get some guys that are going to be a part of the deal in 2025. Figure out the whole goal for the next 6 games is figuring out what your core is going into next season, in which of them have even just a tiny drop, Aslan. I know that's a bad word, of special sauce. They'll show it. Did Landon Thomas not show it, Aslan?
Thought he did.
Thought he did. Thought he made a couple guys miss. Had a nice game against Clemson. Dropped one against SMU. Also had a touchdown, but had a bad drop. But then came back and had a really good game against Clemson. He showed some special sauce. Let's see if McCoy can carry over what we see in practice to the game. All it takes is one. I've gone down this route a bunch. I've said that I've used this example a ton, and I'm not saying LaWayne McCoy is this guy. But Rashad Greene he didn't get on the field in their opener. I think it was Charleston Southern or Western Carolina. It was somebody. I can't remember who it was. He didn't play until the fourth quarter of that game. And then he makes I think Clint Trickett's first touchdown pass, maybe his first career pass at Florida State, was like a 20-yard pass to Rashad Greene where he made somebody miss and scored. That was in the fourth quarter. Rick Trickett cried. It was a kind of a cool moment.
Yeah.
And then this would have been 2011.
Correct.
And then the next game, is it Oklahoma?
Yeah, it was Louisiana Monroe they started off with, then they had Charleston Southern week 2. And then
okay,
Oklahoma.
so I think Louisiana Monroe, you could look this up, I'm not sure. I think Louisiana Monroe was when Rashad Greene scored the first touchdown. And then the next week against Charleston Southern, he might have had another big catch. And then came the Oklahoma game.
Correct.
And he
28-yard catch against Monroe for a touchdown for Rashad
Okay, so it was. And then I think he had like a long catch against. But in that game, it was the fourth quarter. He wasn't a part of their plans early on that year. But he got on the field in the fourth quarter. He made ran a really nice route because Rashad Greene. We all know how Jimbo wasn't about playing freshman receivers. Rashad Greene barely got on the field against Louisiana Monroe. He came in the fourth quarter with the second string. Clint Trickett hits him for a touchdown. The next game against Charleston Southern, he plays a bit more. He might have even played with the ones a little bit.
He caught a bomb in that one. He had 2 catches for 98 yards against Charleston Southern. tutties.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought he caught a big pass in that game where it's like, okay, there's another play
69
that he
yards.
stacked
Nice.
on top of the touchdown, which it's like, it's a big deal. You won a blowout game. You scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter of a game you won by 5 scores. That's not a big deal. You had a 61-yard touchdown or 61-yard catch against Charleston Southern in a game I assume you won by 60. That's not a big deal. But it is a big deal for the player. And then the next week, what did he do, Aslan?
Oh, I should have had that ready.
Oh, you're supposed to know. It's
Terrible
Oklahoma.
job.
And he makes the catch of the season. When Trickett just throws it up, Rashad Greene mosses a kid and houses it for one of the loudest explosions in Doak Campbell Stadium history. They lose the game, but he has another huge moment in a moment that actually mattered against the number 1 team in the country. All of a sudden, he's got all this confidence. And the coaching staff has confidence in him. Okay, he's different. He is a guy that can play. I know he's 140 pounds, but they can't cover him. He makes plays. He's special. And he proved it against Louisiana Monroe and Charleston Southern. Then he goes into Oklahoma and makes the catch of his life. And then against Clemson the following week, which they lose again, I think he had like 11 catches in that game. Like he became like the go-to guy in the span of 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not saying LaWayne McCoy can do that, but I'm telling you, doing it in practice, I'm sure Rashad looked fine in practice, but not good enough to play in the opener until the game was out of reach. And he didn't get but 2 passes thrown to him against Charleston Southern. 2 weeks later, he's catching like 11 passes against Clemson. So
Eight against Clemson, 8 for 98 and a tutty against Clemson, and he had 3 for like 68 against Oklahoma.
Yeah,
3 for 70 and a touchdown.
Yeah, and then so 8. I mean, that's a lot for that's
11 in 2 games. 11 in 2 games against Oklahoma and Clemson. Strong.
But does that happen if he doesn't catch the touchdown against Louisiana Monroe? Like, you don't know. You don't know if he has the confidence to go out there and put up 100 against Clemson in Death Valley when they absolutely need those plays. But you also don't know if the coaching staff has confidence in him to put him out there. Well, once you prove you can make a couple of plays, the confidence grows higher and higher on both sides. So, but all that crazy rambling, Rashad Greene, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you, Rashad Greene. I don't understand your NFL career. I just don't. But play LaWayne and see if one play can spark something. Just one is sometimes all it takes.
There we go.
When you actually do it on the field and prove to yourself and your teammates and your coaches, yeah, man, I'm built for this. I'm not just a Sunday to Friday player. I can bring it out here when it really matters. That just see if you can get something to build on these next 6 weeks.
Yeah. All right, practice
that was
going.
long. I apologize.
That's fine. Practice going down. Content from practice over on warchant.com. Seminole headlines 1 to 3 o'clock. Corey, Ira, Jeff, tune in. We'll have another show for you folks. We'll figure out the mailbag live situation as well. Subscribe, everybody. Stay connected. It has been Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WarChampBOGO. Buy one, get one free.